Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishna Yoma, Parak Dalet, chapter 4, Mishna Hey, Mishna 5. B'chol Yom, every day, meaning every other day of the year, other than Yom Kippur, Kohanim Oilim Mizracha Shel Kebesh, the Kohanim would go up to on the east side of the ramp, the yard Ma'arav, and come down on the west. Now, what that means is like this. Whenever anybody was doing a service in the Beis HaMikdash, or it applies anytime you're doing a mitzvah, that if you have to turn, you have a choice of turning right or left. Which direction do you take? You go to your right. Mm-hmm. That's what's brought down. It comes from the Gemara. Mm-hmm. Whenever you turn, again, you don't make a right turn if you're supposed to make a left turn. That's not what it means. There's the choice of going to the right or going to the left to get to your destination. You go to the right. Mm-hmm. So, in the case of a Kohen going up on the altar to perform an avodah service, so again, the picture is kind of small here. Okay, the ramp of the altar was to the south. Mm-hmm. Okay, the ramp was to the south. And the altar was, when you went up the ramp, you're going from south to north. Okay? Now, but when you're coming up this ramp, as you see, you come to the top of the ramp, you're at the top of the altar. Okay, which direction should you turn? To the right. You should be going to the right. So now if you're going to the right, that means you're going eastward. So the choice was like this. The choice was, so what the Kohanim did was, when they went up the ramp, they went up the right side of the ramp, the eastern side of the ramp. So when they got to the right and they turned, they just basically turned to where they had to be. I mean, they had to go around, but, they made the right turn, and they didn't have to pass any part of the altar to do that. Now, if you would walk up the middle of the ramp, right? Let's say you walk up or to the western side of the ramp. So you'd come to the top of the ramp, right? And you'd have to now go to the right, you have to go eastward. And that would mean that you'd be passing over the area of the ramp. The area of the ramp comes up and meets the Mizbeach. You'd be passing over the ramp or passing through near the ramp. And it's not considered respectful doing that. If you don't have to go ahead and pass a part of the Mizbeach, that's not necessary. The ramp was let's call it a significant part, a part of the ramp, the altar that stood out. That's how you went up there. They put that. We've learned that they put the sacrifice piece of the sacrifice on there, and then they took it up later from there. So the ramp was a part of the altar that it was not considered respectful to just pass it if it wasn't necessary. So therefore, the Kohanim all year round, including the Kohen Gadol, when they went up to the top of the Mizbeach, they went along the eastern side of the ramp. So when they got to the top, they could just make their right turn and not have to pass by anything in a way that we considered not respectful towards it. And when they came down the opposite way. They didn't just come down the same way. They went around the altar. They went around the top of the altar. There was an area to walk around, and they came back down on the western side. That's how they did it. That was considered a respectful way of doing it. Now, B'hayoim, today, meaning on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol, Oile be'emtza v'yered be'emtza. He goes up the middle of the ramp and he goes down the middle of the ramp. So to speak, kind of signaling that I can go wherever I want today. I can go anywhere I want. I don't have to worry about what I pass and what I don't pass. I can go wherever I want. Now, it doesn't mean that in a boastful way, but as Bar Tanura explains, the reason why Yom Kippur the Kohen Gadol did this, Mishum Kavayda, was actually to show actually to bring honor to him or to demonstrate his honor, Laharais Chashivusai, to show his importance, Shu Keben Bias. He's like a household member. He's like somebody who's a regular household member, and he goes wherever he wants. Meaning, being that he was doing the special service on behalf of the Jewish people on Yom Kippur, so he's like a regular member of the household he's like a regular member of the household of the palace. When you're a regular member of the household of the palace, you don't have to worry about where you go, where you don't go. You have free access wherever you want to go. And therefore, the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur becomes like that. Becomes like the what's the wording? It becomes like the Ben Bias. He becomes like a regular household member of the king, and he can go anywhere that he goes. It's all about showing really the honor of the Jewish people on Yom Kippur, or the honor of Yom Kippur in the sense of the Kohen Gadol's access to whichever way he wants to go because he's doing the service of Yom Kippur. But therefore, he went, up the middle, and even though it came out that he passed part of the ramp as he turned right, it didn't matter on Yom Kippur. Rabbi Yehuda says, La'olam Kohen Gadol oila be'emtza v'ered be'emtza. According to Rabbi Yehuda, all year round the Kohen Gadol has a special status. He goes up the middle and comes down the middle all year round. That was Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Okay, meaning Yom Kippur for the Kohen Gadol, Yom Kippur wasn't different than any other day of the year according to Rabbi Yehuda. Next. Every day, any other day of the year, the Kohen Gadol, every Kohen, including the Kohen Gadol, before he starts any service that he wants to do for the day in the Beis Hamikdash, he's going to wash his hands and feet from the kiyar, the special basin that was there for the Kohanim to do so. So every day the Kohen Gadol would sanctify his hands and feet from the kiyar, which was where all the Kohanim did it from. That's what this kiyar was. That's what this basin was for. But today, menakitin shalzav. Today the Kohen Gadol washes hands and feet from a golden flask. Special place where the water was poured from on Yom Kippur. Again, all in honor of Yom Kippur. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo'ilam Kohen Gadol mekadeshad v'raglo menakitin shalzav. The Kohen Gadol always sanctifies hands and feet from a golden flask. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, these two things mentioned in the Mishnah were the Kohen Gadol did them. He had the special status of these things every day of the year. But according to the Tanna Kama, which nobody says who the halacha is like, but at the end of the day, the Tanna Kama, the Chachamim, they say Yom Kippur was special, and on that Yom Kippur, every other day of the year, he had to go up on the ramp like the Kohanim to the east, come down on the west. And Yom Kippur, he could go up the middle, down the middle, and he washes. And according to the Tanna Kama, the first opinion, the Chacham of the sages, they say that he washed his hands and feet every day of the year like all the other Kohanim from the Kiyar. And on Yom Kippur was special that he did it from a golden flask. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi. Was the rim